There you go. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I know each of you have, know Edward a little bit. I just wrote up something, just a little thing to celebrate his life. It was very hard on us, and I know y'all know about losing an animal and how hard it can be. Just a little bit about what Edward meant to us. Edward first blessed our life in 2008. We were living in a duplex in Midland, Michigan, and our daughter, Becca, brought home the little guy. Supposedly, she found him alongside of the road. Knowing that we wouldn't let a poor kitten wander on the road, she brought him home to us. But actually, later we found out that she actually got him from her friend's house. He was probably a few months old and was as handsome as could be. He had a shimmering gray coat. He loved climbing in the dishwasher when I was filling it or emptying it. He also loved playing with plastic milk jug rings. Our resident cat kitten was a little wary of him, but soon grew to accept him as family. Becca named him Edward after Edward Cullen in the Twilight movies. Edward, our cat, proved that he was a vampire, just like his namesake, Edward Cullen. He would suck on Becca's ears, and later he learned how to bite, and bite hard. When he was mad or hunting, he would strike with a quickness that his prey would soon learn to regret. He brought us home birds, moles, chipmunks. One time he even left a live chipmunk present for Mark in one of Mark's boots. Eddie was the clod, so imagine a hunter without a gun. This was Eddie. He was an expert at striking at just the right time. Edward could see things that us humans just couldn't see. Many times you would hear him meowing and jumping up a wall to pounce at something that only he could see. It took me a long time to figure out how the thermostat kept getting turned down. No one in the house claimed to be turning it down. Was it a ghost? Nope, it was just Eddie jumping up onto the thermostat and turning the dial. Edward's life would be turned upside down when we sold everything and moved into a motorhome to start travel nursing. Gone was his hunting grounds, and he was thrust into a smaller environment on the road. Cats don't normally like traveling in a car, and the motorhome was no different. He was scared and would climb up under one of the seats, but eventually we built him a tent with blankets so he felt more secure. Edward was my home companion while I spent many hours finishing up school. He could always make me laugh. He pounced on one of my papers, put a big hole in it, and then looked at me with all the love in his eyes. Now how could I be mad? I felt bad that the cats were bound in the motorhome, so I asked Mark to build them something that hooked up to the motorhome that allowed the cats to go outside but kept them safe. This is when the Pet Palace was born. It worked so good, Mark began work to get the patent on it and started selling them. This was Eddie's man cave, and while he was in there, he didn't want to be bothered. He just sucked up the sunshine and rolled on the concrete on the bottom. One time, Edward escaped his man cave, apparently jumping out a hole that the park cat Stubbs had put in the netting. We weren't home, but when we returned and couldn't find Edward, we just freaked out. A neighbor Rob, told us that Edward jumped out of the hole and started chasing after another park cat, Ringo. We looked for Eddie for hours, even traipsing through the scrub and picks. We didn't find him, and I really started to worry because there were coyotes hanging around. It was getting dark, and finally he showed up to the motorhome. He was so grounded. We were lucky to find a wonderful cottage with a fenced yard where Edward could roam and Kitten could eat grass. He loved it outside. One day I was going to let him back in the house, and I opened the door to see him holding a huge mouse rat thing in his mouth. I knew he wanted to bring it in to show me his prize, but I went around the back way and told him how proud of him I was. He was so happy to have caught it. During his final weekend, and while he was laying ill in bed, I was laying with him and heard something under the bed. Edward, even as sick as he was, perked up his ears because he heard it too. I looked to see if it was Kitten, but she wasn't there. I got Mark, and he took the box out from under the bed. He found one of Edward's rats in it. Eddie must have brought it in prior to getting sick and lost it in the house. Mark had set up a magic screen on the back door so the cats could come in and go as they pleased. He must have brought it in for us to see, but we must have been working outside and didn't see him bring it in. I am so happy that he was able to see that we found his final present to us, and that in the last hours his true hunter spirit was realized. I will remember Edward for the way he looked at me. Sometimes I would catch him staring at me while I wasn't looking. He looked at me with such love. He would gently stretch up and paw at me to get attention. He was also our alarm clock. He would walk all over us in the bed trying to get us up. And if that didn't work, then came the meowing in the early morning. He also loved to share my water bottle. He would try and grab it away from me with his front paws, so I would end up pouring him a capful, and he gleefully drank it while always looking for more when he was done with that capful. I'll miss you, little buddy. And this is a poem that I found for all of us who have lost loved ones. Paw prints left by you. You no longer greet me as I walk through the door. You're not there to make me smile, to make me laugh anymore. Life seems quiet without you. You were far more than a pet. You were a family member, a friend, a loving soul I'll never forget. It will take time to heal, for the silence to go away. I still listen for you and miss you every day. You were such a great companion, constant, loyal, and true. My heart will always wear the paw prints left by you.
That's sweet. That's beautiful.
And I've never done this before, so I'm scattering of ashes, so.
Just get upwind.
Yeah. Yeah, figuring it out
We
first.
don't have to go down over there.
Over here?
The wind is coming this way.
Okay.
Go around over
We're
here.
over there.
All right.
That way.
Raise it this way. Okay, dear buddy. Now you can hunt forever out back here. All right, Ed. There you go, buddy. Just don't bring him in the house. Thank you, guys.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
That was beautiful.